Hey guys, Dilakaba here with Dilakaba Presents the TFC360 Mod Pack Development Video Log. Vlog. Goodness me, I don't even know where to start. So let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, there was a Mind Squatch who wanted to make a fun and interesting TerraFirmaCraft mod pack, but it meant some stuff was going to have to happen, and so he developed the TerraFirmaCraft Shaman mod. All right, let's get started with this business right now. I wanted to update you guys on the development of the mod as well as the mod pack, and just kind of give you some insight as to what's going on here. So you see we got lots of fancy stuff going on here, but we're going to hold off on that. And first we're just going to talk about what's in the TFC360 mod pack and what its focus is about. The TFC360 mod pack, as its name implies, is about the idea of using a 360-day year in TerraFirmaCraft. The reason 360 instead of 365 is because the cycle of the year in TerraFirmaCraft must be set to multiples of 12, and that's why we have 360. Now you'll notice our sky looks a little bit different, and that's the first thing, is that we have stellar sky. Stellar sky gives us a realistic sky. There's the sun and a couple of the planets from our solar system showing magnificently up there in the air. And at night you have the Milky Way and all the constellations. And the thing is that this is a proper representation of the sky. The sky in this mod pack is set to a 360-day year and to the year 1000 BC. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, of course, we've got a lot of the standard mods. Why don't we just hop out quick and take a look at our mod list. Now, because this is my dev pack, it means there are some mods here that aren't in the finished 360 mod because I'm using them for development. But so, of course, we've got Minecraft Forge, and we got TerraFirmaCraft. We've got Not Enough Islands. We got Fastcraft. Not enough islands. Not enough items. We have Fastcraft. We have Decorations, which is the TFC Decorations mod, not the Raspberry Fox Decorations mod. We have Leather Water Sack, which is a great little mod, gives us a leather water sack. Imagine that. Terra Firma stuff, Terra Mist, TFC Pewter, the Sellers add-on, TFC Scales, TFC Utery mod, Finger in the Wind, which is what gives us that text in the top left that says the air feels cool and nice. We have Better Boats, which gives us Minecraft boats that, number one, stay synced to the server when you play, and number two, when you hit an object and the boat breaks, you get the boat back instead of a pile of kindling. They can rubber band a little bit, but they're not too bad. We got BiblioCraft with BiblioWoods TFC. Dynamic lights, which is not included in the cursed version of this because there are some licensing situations with the Curse client for dynamic lights. We have Farseek. As part of my development, I'm working with just another spawner. Memory Cleaner. We have MindTweaker 3 that is allowing us to do custom scripts, as well as the TerraFirmaCraft tweaker. We have the Plant Mega Pack, which is a big part of this particular pack. I'm currently working with Peaceful Nights and Dangerous Caves, which means the mobs only spawn underground and in areas where they are not exposed to the sky. You can, of course, disable that and have mods as normal, but I like it like this for a couple of reasons. It means when I'm working on the development, I don't have to worry about getting jumped by zombies, and I can be in survival mode and not have to play in creative, because creative can give a false sense of what's actually going on with things. There's some things that don't work in creative that do work in survival, and vice versa. Then Quadrum is one of the dev tools I'm using. Raise Minimap, which is not in the Curse version. It's only in the Technic Launcher version. But then we've also got Skinport, which allows us to use our 1.9 plus Minecraft skins in 1.7, so you can have all your extra goo-gaws and doodads. Streams, which gives us flowing streams. Tabula I'm using for development. It's not in the final pack. The TerraFirma NEI, of course, plugin. TFC tweaker. What am I looking at? Just another spawner is, again, something I'm just working with to try out some ideas. But ultimately, we come down to TFCshaman, which is the mod that I'm working on and which we're going to talk about today. Now, we do have a bunch of custom recipes that are just basic add-ons done with scripts, and we'll take a look at a few of those. A good example of that is, let's say, charcoal. We can do TFC charcoal like usual by building a giant charcoal pile, or we can take a piece of hardwood, and the hardwoods are oak, chestnut, hickory, and maple, as well as ash. And if we put a log into our campfire or into the forge, we can turn it into some charcoal, but it happens very slowly, and it usually takes 2 full-on logs to turn, or sometimes even 3 full-on logs to turn 1 log into a chunk of charcoal. It takes time and it's expensive in materials, but it's a good way to get a start early on. If we look at lumber, the softwoods like pine, for instance, let's find a good one here. Douglas fir, here we are. You'll see that while normally, of course, we use saws to produce it, we do have the ability to take a stone knife, a hammer, and the Douglas fir and split out basically 2 pieces of lumber from a single fir log. And your stone knife is lost in the process because it's, of course, being beaten on with a hammer, and it's basically a wedge that's ending up broken in the process. But so we've got a number of recipes like that. Then we've got some recipes that are based specifically in the plant mega pack, for instance, because I do love me the plant mega pack. But for instance, if we look at cattails, we can use a bunch of cattails to make some rope, as well as using some cattails to make cattail spikes like normal. And what this is about is a big part of the TFC360 mod pack is adding in the plant mega pack and then using plants from the plant mega pack in the way that First Nations peoples actually used them. Cattail was used to make string and to make rope, as well as some other plants that are in the plant mega pack that were used to do string and rope and cordage. But in any event, what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about the TFCshaman mod. It is a work in process, but we're getting close. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a search under shaman. Whoops, not shman. Shaman. There we go. And as you can see, currently there are about 30 items that are added in, and they are the final products and the crafting components. So we have the horse drum. We don't need 64 horse drums. I can say that even on a bad day, I don't need 64 horse drums. We have the bear drum. We have the golden ram, the Venus of Delakaba, which may get a better name than that. We have the drum beater. I've already got one there. There's a clay body for the rattle. The vision flute, we've already got one there. Let's see, the ceramic body for the rattle itself, the rattle handle. Then we have 4 different colors of beads in both their finished form and their unfinished form. First of all, we have the birth bead. The color black represents life, being a mortal creature, a living creature among the 4 medicine colors. And so being that it's the birth bead, one that hasn't been baked is an unborn bead. Okay, we'll just put that there. Then we have the red, which represents life. So we have birth and we have life, and the life bead is red, and therefore an unbaked life bead is an unliving bead. There we go. Get that there. Then we have white, which represents old age, rest in the cycle of life. And so an unbaked white bead is an unrested bead. I think you may see a theme here. And then we have the yellow bead, which represents the idea of the dead and the ancestors, and so that's the ancestor bead. And we have an ancestorless bead when it is unbaked. All right, so let's continue on. We have the circle of life. The circle of life. This is composed of all 4 colors of beads strung together and is an important component. We have a stone pestle and a stone mortar. We have the medicine pouch, which is your power as a shaman. The medicine pouch is your power. We have the plain pouch, which is the foundation for a medicine pouch. We have the burin, which is a tool that's kind of like a Stone Age chisel. It's a specialized carving tool. We have the bear fetish. We have the horse fetish. We have some leather thong. We have beaded fringe. There's the burin blade. And we have some special dusts. We have some ghost dust and some spider dust. We're going to get rid of this magnetite here. The ancestor dust, as well as zombie dust. And so these are all the components that have been created so far. And we're going to look a little bit at how they're made and what they're for and the type of effects that they have and things like that. Well, first of all, you can see here that while this is the shamanism mod, at a certain point we move from totemic type stuff to actual idols. And these are the models I'm working on for the idols. We have the golden ram, and we have the lead ram. We have the Venus of Dalakaba, and these currently do nothing but look cool. And, you know, you have to understand, I started coding a week and a half ago. The last time I did any coding was learning to program in BASIC on an Apple IIe in 1982. That while it does talk about how old I am, other than being freaking old, it does say that, you know, this is me having to learn to do this stuff literally from the get-go. And I think all that being considered, I'm not doing too bad for myself. But here are the drums. And we have the horse drum, and we have the bear drum. Now, you'll see that the bear drum has a bear fetish on the front of it. Here's a bear fetish. And it has a horse fetish on the horse drum. There's the horse fetish. I like the horse fetish. It's one of my favorite components. And then on the back side, we have the beads of the circle of life. Black is birth, red is life or growth, and then white is rest, and yellow is death. And here is the circle of life. So the circle of life, of course, is composed of a bead of each of the appropriate colors and some sinew string, and that sinew actually comes from the Terra Mist mod. One of the things I wanted to do with this mod was use it to tie together all the other mods we've been using here in the pack. But what is the point of having these drums, you may ask? Well, if you do not have your medicine pouch on your person, all they do is just make good sounds. Authentic Native American drum sounds, by the way there. But you'll see nothing happens other than we can rock and we can roll. Give me a funky backbeat. Very responsive, but nothing happens. However, and we also have, by the way, a lovely flute, and ooh, look at our night sky starting to show. If we play the flute by right-clicking, we get some beautiful Native American flute music. But again, not a darn thing happens. We've got our shaker. Now, what I did, and so I guess I'm a little obsessive about these things, is I went through the TerraFirmaCraft music and I figured out the predominant key of the music in TerraFirmaCraft, and then I took the flute music that I got hold of and I actually changed its pitch so that its pitch is in harmony with the TerraFirmaCraft music, so that it either creates a proper harmonic third, or it just goes along with it without any worries. So if we've got the music going in the background here, let me just play. So you can see that it's not a discordant sound. So if you are playing the flute, you're not going to find that it ends up in some strange minor seventh that's discordant and makes you want to stab yourself in the face with a fork. All right. But anyway, so we've got the drum and we've got the rattles and we got the flute, but nothing is happening, and that's because we don't have a medicine bag. Now, to make the medicine bag, this is the current recipe. I may change the recipe to work more with some of the dusts and things, but I needed to. The dusts are like the last things, along with idols that I've added, and I haven't solidified what's going to happen with all of them. But you will definitely be using the plain pouch and the beaded fringe, as well as the beads. But probably what we'll be doing is using the circle of life and some of our powders and things and fetishes and all of that to try to pack as much in there to make the medicine pouch as possible. But once you have your medicine pouch, all of a sudden your powers work. If we come over here and we beat the bear drum, we now have strength 3 for 1.5 minutes. Okay, if we come on over here and we beat the horse drum, we have strength for 1.5 minutes. Or I mean speed for 1.5 minutes, swiftness. And this is walking speed, and this is running speed. Running speed! Alright, so we've got that. Now, the shaker gives us regeneration 3 for 45 seconds. Now, the recipe for the shaker, you'll see you need Eye of Ender as well as blue dye, which of course is acquired from lapis, which is darn hard to come by here in TerraFirmaCraft. So needless to say, making a regeneration shaker is not going to be an easy task. Alright, but lastly, the Flute of Vision. Not the flute itself, it's the spirit that's summoned by the flute. So you'll notice as we walk away, and I've got it like this for a very simple reason. The first time, second time, the third time that you hear this music, it's very nice. But on about the 100th and 11th time, it can start getting just a little bit irritating to listen to 40-some seconds of this flute music. And so even though I could set it up so that the music moves with you while you're walking, I decided to do it this way, so that way you don't have to, put yourself in the position. Ooh, that's Antares, the central star of Scorpio right there, as a matter of fact. But look at that sky a little bit. And so you'll notice that the effect and the music pretty much are in harmony. So that while the effect is working, the music is playing. And the point that the music stops is when there's 10 seconds left to the night vision effect, and you start getting the flashing that indicates that the night vision is about to come to an end. So the music comes to an end, and we start getting the flashing that indicates we've got 10 seconds before we leave night vision. All right, so it's all in harmony. But anyway, let's just look at a couple more things real quick here, and then I'm going to sign off. I don't want this to be too long, but wanted to just give you guys kind of an update here. So we've got the beads. These are cooked in a campfire. Very quick and easy. The plain pouch is a standard TerraFirmaCraft leather napping recipe. You just strip the leather off the outside edges because it's a very simple pouch. Just a strip of leather that's been folded over and stitched along the edges so that you have a flap. Nothing fancy there. Making the clay body for the shaker is a clay napping recipe. And again, pretty straightforward. Just take off the outer edge and tap, tap to represent the little inward activity of the base of it. This is also put in a campfire to be smelted. Unfortunately, right now, outside of hard coating, there's no way to do actual fire pit recipes. And I'm looking into that because all of this has been coated in Eclipse in regular 1.7 Minecraft. And now what I've got to do is I've got to begin doing some coding that's very specific to TerraFirmaCraft. One of the things to know is that one of the community modders, Peffern, I was messaging back and forth with them, trying to get some help in terms of getting a plant or one or two plants that are special mystical plants that must be found to make some of your shamanistic components into the game. And Peffern had done the pumpkin and melons mod, and Peffern basically said, well, yeah, sorry, you have to use ASM, and it's a pretty complicated process, and I'm pretty busy and just can't help right now. Maybe later on when I've got more time. I said, thank you very much. I will certainly take the information you've given me and do my best to try to wrestle this on my own. And today I got on the forum, and Peffern has announced that they are making an actual API that will allow us to add plants to TerraFirmaCraft. So apparently I inspired Peffern, and Peffern, you are a modding god. I am so looking forward to being able to add N. rustica and a couple of other plants that are important shamanistic plants here to TerraFirmaCraft. But I think I am going to, other than show you some of the basic recipes that I've worked out, I think we're going to bring this to a close. So to make a drum, you need some rawhide and some leather thong, the appropriate fetish, something to do the colors, a circle of life, and a white cedar log for the horse drum. For the bear drum, it's oak, the strength of the oak in the bear fetish, and so on and so forth. We don't have recipes yet for the rams or Venus. I've just started working on those. The drum beater is just any old stick, and use your knife and some dye. The vision flute takes the bear fetish. I will actually be making a third fetish that has something more to do with eyesight. Might be a bat fetish, and some dyes, some string, a spider eye, and the burn itself. We've got the ceramic body, which of course is a heating recipe. The shaker we know is 3 ender pearls and some dyes in the ceramic body and the shaker handle. The handle itself, little carving with the burn, and some dye. And you can use light blue dye instead of blue dye to make the shaker handle. But you do have to have the lapis for inside. I'm probably going to change that. I don't know. I need to do a little play testing. I don't want you to be able to, like on your first day, go out and build these things. I want you to have to work for them. And that's part of why we have the ghost dust, the spider dust, the ancestor dust, and the zombie dust, because you're going to have to take on some mobs and kill some mobs, or at the very least go around and gather some mob leftovers before you're going to be able to do these things. We have, of course, the birth bead, which is the cooked version of the unborn bead. The unborn bead is, we have 2 recipes, king orchid, ink sac, and clay, or charcoal, iron dust, and clay. The iron dust is courtesy of Terra Miscellaneous. And so on for the others. We have, pine sap, hematite, and clay, or red sea fan coral, red dye, and clay. And there's 2 recipes you'll see for each of the different colors of beads. To make the beaded fringe, we need beads, obviously, and leather thong. Leather thong is created with the burn and leather. Very classic idea. You take and you stick the point of your blade into a piece of wood with an appropriate L shape to it. You start your leather and then you pull, and what it does is it spins it off in a strip. People still do that nowadays to make leather thong. The burn blade is a classic napping recipe. Nap off the outer edge on both sides and the top, pop, and there you got your burn. And to make the fetishes, it's the burn. A piece of magnetite or some sort of iron-bearing stone needs to be used for the horse fetish. And same thing, except it's specifically magnetite for the bear fetish. We wanted to, again, because the bear fetish is part of the flute, we wanted to make you have to work for a little bit. And the sinew string from TerraFirmaCraft. And so we've got the recipes going, and we're getting it all put together. The stone mortar will allow you to grind bone into bone meal, sulfur into sulfur powder, hematite into hematite powder, and magnetite into iron dust, because those are important components for the beads. And I think that's about as much as I'm going to say at this point, just because I don't want to take too much time. But I wanted to show you guys what it is I'm working on for TFC360, because I want you to start out as a proper hunter-gatherer, having to hunt and fish and stuff in order to survive, because you're going to have very, very few plants available when you start out, because everything is, of course, moving at a much, much slower pace when you have a 360-day year. But if you manage to get through that first month, and all the plants come to fruition, then you're going to start being able to harvest lots and lots of plants. And I don't know exactly what, but I am going to make a recipe that specifically calls for goldenrod. We end up with so much of it every time we find clay locations. There's got to be something we can do with this goldenrod. And so I'm definitely going to be doing that. This, by the way, is the map that I include with the pack. You start right in this general area here. I believe you actually start right here, as a matter of fact. You start right here, and it's a great starting map because we've got clay right off the bat. Off over there, there's tetrahedrite, and there's a few animals around. There's pumpkins. It's a great starting location. Get you a leg up. Not have to worry about loading times or any of that. But anyway, thank you for joining me here for the TFC360 mod development blog. I had hoped to have this ready by February 15th, but with the upcoming API being put together by Peffern to allow us to add plants, I am setting back the release just a little while so that I can code these plants in and get us some very special plants added to the wondrous plant mega planting. All right, I'm out of here. I had fun. I hope you're enjoying it. This is a TFC360 is available on the Technic platform. It is available through the Curse client, and if you look on my channel here, I have a little video that shows you how to find it on the Curse chat client. And as it stands right now, none of this TFCshaman stuff is in the pack, but there's lots of other stuff, and hopefully you will have fun, and I shall see you soon, and we will be moving to TFC360 Mark II. I'm out. Peace.